Do you need help in determining your values? Because if you do, you're in the right place. Welcome to the channel. My name is Garo Yasayan, and today we're talking all about values. But before we begin, let me ask you a couple questions. Why do you have the life that you have? Why do you have the house that you live in, or the car you drive, or the amount of money in your bank account, or the career you're in? What determines the life that you have? What determines the relationships that you have in your life? Or the body you wake up to every morning, or what determines the emotions you feel on a consistent basis daily. Whether that's love, joy, happiness, fun, adventure, fulfillment, or maybe it's sadness, depression, anxiety, stress, frustration, shame. Why do you have the life that you have? What determines the life that you have? The answer to that question is your decisions. Your decisions determine the life that you have. Every decision you've ever made in your life has accumulated and created the life that you have today. I know that's hard for some people to hear. It was hard for me to hear at first, but it's the truth, and we need to face it and acknowledge it. See, it's easy to blame other people or even other situations for why we have the lives that we have, but the reality is that we are responsible for our lives. You are responsible for your life. You chose how to spend your time. You chose where to allocate your money. You chose the career path you wanted to take. You chose the friends you wanted to hang out with. You made all those decisions. So take ownership of it. Own it. And if you're not happy with where you are in your life right now, I have good news for you. You can take back control of your life by changing or shifting the decisions you make from this moment forward. What a powerful thing. You can take back control of your life by changing or shifting the decisions you make from this moment forward. But what controls those decisions? What guides those decisions? What determines those decisions? The answer to those questions is your values. Your values are your personal compass. They are an invisible force that help guide you in making the decisions that shape the direction of your life. I'm going to say that again because that's so important. Your values are an invisible force that guide you in making the decisions that shape the direction of your life. In other words, your values guide your decisions. But what does it mean to value something? It means to place great importance upon it. Anything that is important to you is going to help you in making the decisions that you make. The problem is that most people are unclear about what is important in their lives. They don't know what's important in their lives, and so they never take a stand for anything or anyone. And if we're unclear about what's important in our lives, what we truly stand for, then how can we have any sort of foundation for a sense of self-esteem, much less have the capacity to make effective decisions? See, if you ever found yourself having a hard time making decisions, it's because you were unclear about what you value most within that situation. You were unclear about what's most important to you within that situation. And so you start to feel anger and frustration and guilt or shame, and we start to blame other people. The reason is because the decisions we're making aren't in line with who we are as individuals and what we stand for. But when they are in a line, when our values match who we are as individuals and what we stand for, then we start feeling this sense of confidence, this sense of certainty, of inner peace, of congruency within our lives. And so it's important to become clear about what your values are because they help us in becoming better versions of ourselves. So how do we determine our values? Well, in a moment, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through an exercise together. And this exercise is an accumulation of everything I've learned throughout the years. It comes from a few different schools of thought, one of them being Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, one of them being Dr. John DeMartini's seminars, and those sort of gave me a general foundation for values. But it wasn't until I became a life coach and started working with and personally being mentored by Rhonda Britton of Fearless Living that I really solidified what values are for me. And so I wanted to share this exercise with you. And if you need a list of values to help you with this exercise, click the link in the description below. I have a free PDF for you to look at that has a list of all sorts of different values. And if none of those values resonate with you, I also have a list of questions in there to help you discover and determine what values match your personality. So click that link in the description, download that PDF, and let's get right into the exercise. All right, so grab your list of values, a pen, a paper, and let's get started with this exercise. What I want you to do is take a moment and go through this list of values, circling any and all of the values that resonate with you. You can see on the screen that I did this myself. And once you've done this, I want you to look at your circled values and pick 5 values that speak to you the most. The ones that encompass who you are and how you want to live your life. Now, as you're doing this, I want you to see if you can group any of these words together. Are there any themes in the values that you've circled? For example, I circled growth and learning, and for me, they're one and the same. To grow is to learn, and to learn is to grow. So I grouped these 2 values together, and I wrote down growth/learning as one value. I did the same with health and vitality. So go ahead and group your words and pick your top 5 values and really challenge those values. Ask yourself, would you ever sacrifice any of those values for money? And be honest with yourself. If someone gave you $1 million, would you give up that core value? What about in times of stress? Would you throw any of those values out the window? Or would you ever give up any of those values to gain a competitive advantage over someone? Go through each value on your list and ask yourself those questions. If the answer is yes to any of them, then it's most likely not your core value. So really take your time and create your list. Once you have your top 5 values, I now want you to rank them from most important to least important. See, we all value a lot of the same things, but do we value them equally? No. We all have different hierarchies of importance to our values, and that hierarchy is what guides our decisions, is what guides the decisions we make. So rank your values from 1 to 5, 1 being most important and 5 being least important. After you've solidified your list, I want you to define what each value means to you, because what it means to you may not be the same for me. So write down what your belief is about that value. What are the rules you've created for yourself about that value? What does each value mean to you? You can see on this example for me that being vulnerable is courageous. Being vulnerable is having the courage to show up and be seen, regardless of how I feel and if I know the outcome. Vulnerability is stepping out of my comfort zone, and it plays into integrity, because for me, integrity is choosing courage over comfort, choosing what's right over what's fun, fast, or easy. So go ahead and write down what each value means to you. And right now, I want to take a moment and say that this is putting in the quote-unquote hard work that all those motivational gurus are talking about. This isn't easy stuff to do. It takes time. It takes patience and dedication and commitment to do this kind of work. And I want to acknowledge you for putting in the work and taking back control of your life. So now that you have your list and you've defined what each value means to you, let's see how these values show up in your day-to-day. This was a process taught to me by Anthony Ungaro. So what I want you to do is I want you to create a table with 6 columns. And at the top of each column, I want you to write 1 value per column, which will leave you with 1 blank column. And you can write NA in that column. Now, at the end of each day, I want you to take 10 minutes to reflect and go through each aspect of your day. Did you wake up in the morning and check your phone? Did you spend time on social media? Did you go for walks? Did you lift weights? Did you meal prep? Did you eat out? Did you read a book or listen to a podcast? Did you watch TV? Pick up the kids from school? Did you have a difficult conversation with a spouse, a coworker, or a teammate? Did you try something new? And just one tip here. Don't give broad statements like, I went to work. Get specific. Give actionable things you did at work. Break it down. Did you socialize with coworkers? Did you tell any white lies to someone so that you wouldn't hurt their feelings? Did you contribute at meetings? Did you eat the lunch you prepared, or did you go out to eat with friends? Get specific. Make a list of all the things you did and take each of those activities and place them under the column of the value it represents. The NA column is for anything that you are doing on a regular basis that doesn't align with any of those 5 values you chose. Here's a quick example of one of my days. Going for a 3-mile walk reflected health and vitality. Eating 10 cookies went under NA. Reading 10 pages of a book went under learning and growing, and so on and so forth. So go ahead and fill in your table. Once you're done, take a moment to reflect. Where did you meet your values? Congratulate yourself for that. Celebrate yourself. Acknowledge yourself. Give yourself credit where credit is due. Give yourself credit for your wins. And then take a look at where you fell short. And don't beat yourself up or shame yourself over here. That's not the point of this exercise. Instead, take one item from the NA list and start to tweak or shift or change it each day until that activity starts to reflect your values. Start with just one thing and don't move on until you've shifted that one activity or behavior. So for me, I would pick one item from my NA list. Let's say it's watching 5 hours of TV. And I would try to tweak it. Let's say I change it to only watching 4 hours of TV the next day and use my extra hour to lift weights or to create more content or to share. That's how you begin to start shifting that NA list into your values. That's how you start to live your values. I hope you really take the time and dig deep in working through this exercise. This is a tool to really show you whether you're just professing your values or if you're actually living by them. Are you putting in the hard work to really live the truth of these values, or are they just ideals of who you think you should be in life? Really take the time and work through them. I said it before and I'll say it again. Your values guide your decisions. Your values are that invisible force that help you in making the decisions that determine the direction of your life. So if you're not living your values, you'll know, because your life won't be where you want it to be. Take the time to do this exercise. Be a living demonstration of your values. Don't just profess them. Live by them. Commit to them. Hold yourself to a higher standard and show yourself and others what is truly possible. And when you have your values, do me a favor, comment them below, because I would love to hear what your values are. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel. With that said, guys, let's do what we do best and let's get after life.